What is happening, everybody? trueeevil here, and we have just found out what the characters are going to be for the new Wishbinder event tomorrow, and they are going to be none other than the three big RGB bruisers, which is red for Holden, green for Rahu, and blue for Tiamat. And although it's pretty obvious that if you're missing only one of these characters to get that character off of the box, I'm going to be making this video sort of talking about if you don't have any of them, which one should you pick, as well as if you need dupes of these characters, which dupe should you prioritize, and generally how to build these characters. So with further ado, let's start off with Rahu. Now, before I begin, I would say once you get the box, I would really hold off on using it until Season 2 of RTA comes out next week, because there might be a balance patch and these characters might get changed up a little bit. But for what we know at the end of Season 1, I'm going to just say how I think each character works should you prioritize this character over another. And starting off with Rahu, Rahu in particular is really strong out of this Wishbinder event because Rahu can be used to clear a lot of that in-game PvE content, such as Anti-Sync Echoes Apate, just a lot of that overall really difficult PvE content. Rahu is really shining. I use him for the last stage of the guild boss, the tier 4 or level 4 or whatever, and he clears it all. Really great character for PvE, and out of all of these three units, I think he is the best PvE unit. Now, because he's good at PvE, that is a factor, but these characters, the bruiser characters, are mainly good in PvP. That's why most people use bruisers. And is Rahu really going to be better than the other three? And the answer for that is, well, Rahu's main purpose is for the bruiser mirrors. He's not better than something like Tiamat against Cleave, so if you are looking for a character for bruiser mirrors, look no one other than Rahu, because he is the best character for that. And that's where he's going to be shining. And there are a lot of turn 2 players in this game, so he's definitely a character you're going to want for that matchup. Now, if you're worried about CC or Cleave, I would say the other two options are going to be much better. But bruiser mirrors, Rahu is king of the house. Now, for the lattice investment, I will say he's probably the most lattice needed to function, and the reason for that is, well, you need to think of him sort of like Yeli, as he is a DPS, and because of that he needs as many lattices as possible. So I would say the minimum he needs is what I have right now, which is 455. And if you don't have him like max, I see some people with like 451, and it's really makes a big difference here because of the amount of wrath stacks you can get with the level 5. It's really noticeable on the difference on a Rahu who can get to 12 stacks really quickly versus a Rahu that just sort of stays at 6 stacks. He's a little underwhelming at that point, so I would say if you are going the Rahu route, you want to go 100% commit for him. So if you don't want a lattice hungry character right now, or that you just don't want a character for turn 2 mirrors, I would say maybe Rahu isn't the choice for you, but he is amazing in PvE content and is the best at what he does. Now, the next character we're going to talk about is Tiamat, and Tiamat is a cornerstone character that I believe everyone should have on their account. So if there's any of the characters that you don't have, I say pick Tiamat. Now, you might be saying, I'm a Cleave player, why would I want Tiamat? Well, the beauty of Tiamat is, one, she doesn't need as many lattices as these other characters. She only needs her skill 3 and her skill 1 maxed out to make her an absolute powerhouse menace. She doesn't really need the skill 2. It's just a little bit of a cherry on top. And with her shells, she has a lot of variety of builds. Right now I am doing this lighthouse build, but she works amazingly well with amber, and if you have ever seen her with an amber shell, you'll see how broken it is. But besides that, she actually works really well with Rev Cleave, and what I mean by that is if you slap a Rev on her, it's going to do a couple of things. One, if you're a Rev player and you know they're a turn 2 player, you're picking first or second pick Rev Tia. It's going to deny the Bruiser player their Tia, which, well, it's going to be rough for them. This is a multi-hit attack here with the skill 3, and because of the damage mitigation, it's going to keep your Yeli and your Lily and Tsukio and your Bayanta and all those characters more alive. So she's actually really great in Cleave, but more importantly, for bruisers, she's a absolute powerhouse for beating CC and Cleave, in my opinion. So definitely want to make sure you have her on the account. Now for PvE, she does work really well for that in game where you just need to be as tanky as possible with a Tiamat and a Viper. And if you're cool with like 40-minute slow auto clears sometimes, I've used that for a couple of things. The chess boss for the secret 43 floor, not the last one, but the whatever the chess version of those bosses are. I did do a Tiamat auto team that took about 2 hours, and you know, if you're fine doing that, then well, she works really good in the hardest content. It just takes forever, and well, you know, you can do something else during that. So definitely a must build for PvP for everyone, more universal than the Rahu, and not as great in PvE, but does have very niche uses and requires less lattices than Rahu. So definitely my pick over Rahu if you don't have either. Now let's go to that last unit. Now, the last character on the Wishbinder event is going to be Holden, and Holden is a very powerful character. But Holden does require a bit of lattices, not as many as Rahu in my opinion. You can totally get by with, say, like just level 3 on the skill 3, level 4 on the skill 2, and maxing out the skill 1. But Holden is just way better max lattice. So if you don't want a max lattice character, I do think Tiamat is a better option, because not only that, the PvE things that Holden was strong at, well, we now have Plume as the banner character, and we've just had a lot of releases, and although he is really good at bruising down some of these PvE bosses, he's just definitely not double S tier, but he is double S tier in a lot of PvP content. He is one of the best units in PvP, and because of that, well, you might want to pick him up because of the D-Spell. The D-Spell is absolutely brutal, and it gives attack down, which means it's good against those Cleave players to really make it so they can't just one-shot you. The turn meter down, though, on the skill 2 is what really makes Holden a just like absolute tier 0 character in my opinion, because resetting the cooldowns on something like a Veronica or, you know, a Sonya, it can really just win you the game then and there. So just this skill 2 can just maximize their skill cooldowns and win you the video game. Not only that, but he has one of the highest counterattack rates in the game, and this execution mode just makes him an absolute beast. Definitely a character to pick up, and there's 2 really strong builds with him. There's the Artisan build and the Jackal Guard build, and they both have their uses. So he is a lot more, say, like universal than Rahu, but Rahu is way better at his specific function. So what I would say, if you didn't have any of these characters, I would say Tiamat definitely, or Holden, you're really going to have to sort of pick and choose which one you think is going to be better for you. I personally would go Tiamat, but a lot of people would say Holden, so really up in those regards. But if you want a character for PvE and those bruiser mirrors, Rahu is definitely going to shine. So that's what I think you should do for the Wishbinder box. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me and who you are going to pick up. Personally, I'm not going to pick up any of them because these are my only 3 characters that I have max duped. I used every single one of my tickets on the dupes every week to pick up dupes of these characters, as well as the 50 union assists. And it's funny because none of my other characters really have any dupes on it, but the Wishbinder effect box is just every character I have max, these are my only 3. So that's kind of funny to me. So yeah, See you guys next time with another Etheria restart video.